Kanye West takes aim at Taylor Swift. Kanye West appears to have reignited his feud with Taylor Swift. The rapper, who changed his name to Ye in 2021, has goaded the pop star in his Instagram stories. The 46-year-old screenshotted a post by the Daily Loud. Originally posted to X, the social network formerly known as Twitter, the post shows that West overtook Swift as the most streamed artist on Spotify on Tuesday. West has been in an on-again off-again feud with the 34-year-old singer since 2009, when he interrupted her acceptance speech at the MTV Video Music Awards. After Swift won the award for Best Video by a Female Artist, West hopped on stage and said, "Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you, I'ma let you finish, but Beyoncé had one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time." The moment went down in pop culture history, sparking a public battle between West and Swift that would last more than a decade. Super Bowl 58 becomes second most watched TV event in U.S. history. Taylor Swift in a wild OT thriller made this year's Super Bowl the most watched, but it was well short of the most watched TV broadcast ever. An almost unfathomable 123.4 million Americans tuned into the Kansas City Chiefs' 25-22 win over the San Francisco 49ers to make it the most watched Super Bowl in history. The overtime thriller, as well as the Taylor Swift effect, eclipsed the previous record broadcast audience of 115.1 million viewers the previous year as the Chiefs became the ninth team to go back-to-back in the Super Bowl. While officials would be cheering at NFL HQ over the numbers, even 8.3 million extra viewers couldn't knock off the most watched broadcast in U.S. television history, the 1969 moon landing, which brought in an estimated 150 million viewers when the U.S. population was just over 200 million. With a current population of 331.9 million people, it means that more than 1 in 3 Americans tuned into the event, which is mind-bending considering the move away from terrestrial TV in recent years. In Australia, the interest was also strong, with Channel 7 reporting that 2.7 million Aussies tuned in across 7 and 7+, way up from the 1.68 million of the year before. However, it's a long way short of the Matilda's madness in 2023, with the Women's World Cup final reaching 11.15 million viewers, which is the highest-rating television program since 2001 when OzTAM records began to be kept. But 2.7 million is nothing to sneeze at in Australia for America's biggest sport. Super Bowl is one of the world's greatest sporting spectacles, and while we think our American friends can take a leaf or two out of our AFL broadcasting playbook, Seven's NFL coverage only keeps growing, smashing last year's already strong audience record across broadcast and digital, Seven's head of network sport Lewis Martin said. Plenty of pundits have put the increased interest in the NFL this season, which has seen the sport have its best regular season viewership since 2015, the equal second best season on record, on Swift's influence bringing in more female viewers. Consumer research firm Numerator ran a poll of 800 people after the match, reporting 20% of Super Bowl viewers were watching because of Swift. Extrapolated out to the full final number, it would mean more than 24 million tuned in for Swift. In fact, a Super Bowl commercial from Cetaphil covered just that, featuring a father and daughter bonding over Swift being a feature at NFL games. Swift and Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce's relationship has dominated headlines in 2023. And it went next level when Swift's return captivated many as she to the US from the Japanese leg of her historic Eras tour, and seemingly every move she made at the Super Bowl was shared to the world. However, the New York Post reported that Swift was shown for just 54 seconds on the CBS broadcast, according to analyst Jason Pauly, accounting for just 0.36% of the 4 hours and 8 minutes of game time. Swift's attendance at her boyfriend's games have also sparked some wild conspiracy theories, including that the pair are an artificial couple, brought together only as part of a nefarious U.S. Democratic Party psyop. The pair were reportedly going to endorse current U.S. President Joe Biden at the game, however no endorsement has yet been given. But Biden himself triggered Americans after the match, posting a picture of Biden's alter ego Dark Brandon off his @JoeBiden account with a caption of, "Just like we drew it up." New audio reveals what Travis Kelce really said to Taylor Swift after the Super Bowl. New audio has revealed what Travis Kelce really said to Taylor Swift after the 2024 Super Bowl on Sunday, February 11. While the main focus may have been on the field in Las Vegas, a lot of talk following its conclusion on the weekend has of course been on Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. While Swift and Kelce's romance has been in the public eye for a while now, some questions remain on how exactly their relationship began. Well, the NFL star did provide some answers to fans across the world last year. She'll probably hate me for saying this, but when she came to Arrowhead, they gave her the big locker room as a dressing room, and her little cousins were taking pictures in front of my locker, Kelce told WSJ Magazine. But then things warmed up when Kelce received a text from none other than Swift herself. The pair subsequently met up, including one trip in New York. He said, "When I met her in New York we had already kind of been talking, so I knew we could have a nice dinner and, like, a conversation, and what goes from there will go from there." And the rest, as they say, is history. Since the Super Bowl concluded, many have speculated as to what Kelce told Swift as they embraced following the game's finale. Heck, some Swifties have even urged the singer to break up with Kelce after a red flag moment earlier in the game. But they might want to reconsider that after hearing the couple's sweet exchange following Kelce's win. The heartwarming moment went as follows: Kelce, "Thank you for coming, baby." Swift, "Oh, I cannot believe that." Kelce, "Thank you." Swift, "I can't believe you. I can't believe you." Kelce, "Thank you for the support, thank you for coming." Swift, "How did you do that?" Kelce, "Thank you for making it halfway across the world. You're the best, baby." Swift, "Oh my God. Kelce, the absolute best. Was it electric?" Swift, "It was unbelievable." After the footage was uploaded to the NFL X account, many fans have reacted to the audio. OMG, he couldn't be more grateful with her and for her support. He knows and appreciates her efforts to support him, and mind you, this was his moment, like he just won the SB and he was still thanking her, one fan penned. "You have to admit the seeing two people in love is really beautiful," a second added. Taylor Swift claims she offsets her travel carbon footprint. How does that work? Taylor Swift has been criticized for her private plane usage, but claims to have bought double the amount of carbon credits needed to offset her flights for the Eras Tour. Taylor Swift took a 12-hour, 5,000-mile flight this weekend from Tokyo, Japan, to Las Vegas, Nevada, to watch Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce win the Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers. It was her latest private jet flight, a travel habit that has gained criticism due to the jet's inevitable release of carbon dioxide emissions into the atmosphere. The pop star allegedly produced 138 tons of CO2 emissions in 3 months while commuting to visit Kelce, Newsweek reported. Why Taylor Swift's travel habits are being criticized. Swift's carbon emissions are extreme and are polluting the atmosphere, Leah Thomas, author of The Intersectional Environmentalist, told BBC Travel. Carbon emissions are one of the leading causes of the climate crisis, as carbon in the atmosphere warms the planet, which contributes to extreme weather events. The Grammy Award winner's carbon footprint, the amount of carbon dioxide created via energy use and lifestyle, was originally exposed by Jack Sweeney, a student who tracks celebrities' private jet usage. Sweeney has been legally tracking Swift's carbon output as well as that of other celebrities, since flight patterns, even of celebrity-owned private jets, are public information. Sweeney posts this flight information to @SwiftJet next day the following day rather than in real time to further ensure legality. Many of Swift's private jet voyages, Sweeney's tracking has shown, coincided with football games, including a flight to Buffalo, New York, where the musician attended the 21st of January Chiefs vs. Buffalo Bills game, and the 28th of January trip to Baltimore, Maryland for the Chiefs vs. Baltimore Ravens game. Last week, it was revealed that Swift's legal team sent Sweeney a cease and desist letter in December 2023 stating that his wrongful and dangerous actions must stop, and threatening legal action against the University of Central Florida student. Swift's team alleged that Sweeney's actions were endangering Swift's safety and that this is a life or death matter. In the letter, Sweeney is being accused of stalking and harassing behavior by Swift's attorney. Swift has been criticized for her carbon footprint before. Her frequent private jet flights caused a study from UK marketing agency Yard to claim she was the #1 celebrity CO2 polluter in 2022, with emissions claimed to be 1,100 times the amount of the average person. That said, as the Washington Post has noted, the yard analysis relied on flight data available on Twitter, was not peer-reviewed or verified, and while it tracked celebrity-owned jet flights, there is no way of knowing when or whether the owners are on the jets. Air travel in general is a major creator of CO2 emissions. Aviation accounts for 8% of carbon-related emissions in the United States, according to the Environmental Protection Agency. That said, non-stop routes and flying in economy are considered lower carbon choices compared to private jets. While all air travel creates carbon emissions, private jets produce significantly more per person, at least 10 times more carbon emissions compared to a commercial flight. The good news for Swift is that the wealthier you are, the easier it is to be sustainable, Thomas explained. It's okay to hold celebrities to higher standards, because sustainability is much more accessible to them. Swift could course correct by blatantly speaking about the climate crisis, promoting sustainable initiatives, or donating proceeds of her concerts to environmental organizations. Swift's publicist told BBC News that she does use carbon offsets to compensate her private jet travel. But how valuable are these in making frequent air travel more sustainable? BBC Travel has reached out to Swift's team for further comment and will update this article when we receive a response. How carbon credits, also known as carbon offsets, work. Carbon offsets, including carbon capture such as tree planting initiatives, since trees absorb carbon dioxide from the air, are purchased to compensate for greenhouse gas emissions. They're typically purchased by companies to offset the total amount of carbon released into the atmosphere by their business. In Swift's case, her publicist told the AP that she bought double the amount of carbon offsets needed to compensate her travel for the Eras tour before it kicked off in March, likely enough to also cover the additional mileage she's racked up traveling to see Kelsey. Another type of carbon offset is a fee individuals pay to counter the amount of carbon emitted into the atmosphere, rather than reducing carbon use. Carbon offsets compute the estimated amount of carbon emissions released during an environmentally harmful activity such as a flight and then calculate a fee that will keep an equal amount of carbon from being generated. Typically, carbon offsets invest in environmental projects that reduce carbon emissions elsewhere. That said, there is usually no clear calculation that can specify what exact fee will offset an exact amount of carbon. Offsets are rough estimates, and often they overestimate the amount for which the carbon sequestration scheme can compensate. Plus, there's always room for failure. If, for example, forest conservation is used as the carbon sequestration, that forest can then be burned in a wildfire and ultimately save zero emissions. Carbon offsets can counteract otherwise hard to eliminate emissions. Many carbon offset projects are highly valuable, money to plant new forests or grow carbon capturing algae, while others are practically worthless, explained Scott Keys, air travel expert and founder of Going as well as Scott's Cheap Flights. An investigation from ProPublica found that many carbon-reducing projects overestimate the impact of their emissions reductions. There are, however, several highly vetted third-party certifications with carbon offset programs such as the Gold Standard, Verified Carbon Standard and Green E. When Swift flies on her private jet, it isn't her intention to spew tons of carbon. Spewing carbon is an externality, an unintended consequence, of flying, driving, lighting a campfire and millions of other daily activities. Carbon credits matter because they're an attempt to put a price on that externality, Keys said. Thomas adds that Swift doesn't need to stop at carbon offsets to make her travel and touring more sustainable. She mentions artists such as Coldplay and Billie Eilish who make sustainability mandatory on their tours by minimizing single-use plastics and having composting bins on site. Carbon offsets for emissions have been criticized by some climate scientists who claim they don't actually reduce the amount of emissions entering the atmosphere. Carbon offsets are the bare minimum as anyone can offset their flights, Thomas said. We can have a higher standard for Taylor Swift, whose tour made over $1 billion. Beyond carbon offsets, travelers can consciously minimize their carbon footprint by reducing their meat consumption, utilizing public transportation, and booking eco-friendly tourism experiences. Rosita Boland. I wondered if the cat I encountered in Florence was trying to emulate Taylor Swift's feline. Walking to the Uffizi, I reflected on my first and only other visit to the city when, in my 20s, I came across an item that remains a mystery to this day. I saw a lot of angels recently, They were all in the Uffizi Gallery in Florence. Wings extended, wings folded, wings in animated flight. Painted wings. Wings made of marble. It is many years since I was in one of Italy's most famous treasure houses. I was meant to be there 2 Easters ago, but someone very close to me grew their own wings and flew away the day before that planned trip to Florence. Walking that morning to the Uffizi along the banks of the Arno, I became vaguely aware of a woman walking in front of me. She was stylishly dressed, as so many Italian people are, in skirt and black jacket and cool boots, with a large black leather bag slung over her right shoulder. It appeared at first that this woman was like any other, walking along with a bag over her shoulder, as indeed I also was doing. Her bag, however, contained more than pens and diary and phone and water bottle and keys, as mine did. This woman's bag also contained a very large ginger cat. The cat literally came out of the bag and then wrapped itself across the woman's shoulders. I wondered if the cat had been listening in on the international cat chatter, and was trying to emulate Benjamin Button. You may recall Taylor Swift was photographed for Time magazine Person of the Year with a cat draped around her shoulders. It spawned countless copycat attempts on social media, of people trying to turn their own cats into the effortless feline boa that Swift had transformed her own cat into. The Time magazine featured cat was one of 3 she has, and God help me, I know all their names. Olivia, Meredith and Benjamin Button. I do not even like cats. I looked at the cat looked at me, and the woman whose cat it was looked across the Arno. Then it slithered down from her shoulders and into her arms. We continued to walk towards the Uffizi, and the cat stared back at me, stretching his neck around to check I was still following. It was a plump, well-fed cat. I wondered if it was a hunter, but given its method of getting around Florence, transported by arms in a type of human sedan, instead of on its own 4 paws, this seemed perhaps unlikely. It looked to me like a cat with no job. Travis Kelce was forced to move out of his house for safety reasons, amid romance with Taylor Swift, his brother says. Travis knows way more than I do, he had to completely move out of his house, Jason Kelce said. Jason Kelce has revealed that his brother Travis Kelce had no option but to move out of his house for safety reasons, amid his romance with Taylor Swift. Travis knows way more than I do, he had to completely move out of his house, he said during an appearance on the Big Podcast with Shaq. People were just staying by his house. And the first day he moved into the new house, in a gated community, somebody knocks on the back window of the house, he added. Jason, an NFL star, said he did not know what fame was before Kelce started dating Swift last year. We've always been big in the football world, Travis especially. The Taylor world and the pop culture world, that's a whole different level. It's a new demographic that wasn't there before, Jason said. Page 6 reported that last year Kelce bought a $6 million mansion in Kansas City, Missouri. This happened a month after he made his relationship with Swift public. Kelce began searching for a new home where he realized his previous high-end Briarcliff West neighborhood house was accessible to everyone. He had bought that house in 2019 for $995,000. Meanwhile, the Kansas City Chiefs won big at the Super Bowl 2024. They overcame a 10-point deficit to win the game, becoming the first back-to-back Super Bowl champion in 2 decades. The team beat San Francisco 49ers 25-22 in overtime in Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. The audience got a look at his romance with Swift on the field that day as the pair celebrated the victory with a kiss. Oh my God. I can't believe that. I can't believe it. How did you do that? Swift reportedly told her boyfriend. I'm so proud of you. Was it electric? Kelce asked. Unbelievable, Swift replied. It was unbelievable. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen.